All right, let's dive right into a really fascinating legal mystery from the ancient world. This is a case where a super simple rule just smacks right into a really complex reality. We're going to see how some of history's sharpest minds grappled with the very nature of intent, of action, and the law itself. Welcome to the case of the unfit offering.
Like any great puzzle, this one starts with a rule that seems totally straightforward. It's strictly forbidden to slaughter a holy offering anywhere outside the designated temple courtyard. You do that, you're liable. Simple enough, right? What could possibly go wrong?
Well, like any good law, there's an exception. See, if the animal you slaughter outside the courtyard is for some reason unfit for the altar, maybe it's too young or its proper time just hasn't come yet, then you're exempt. You get a pass. And that makes perfect sense logically. I mean, if it couldn't have been offered inside anyway, you can't really be punished for not bringing it there. Case closed. Or is it?
And here it is. Here is the brilliant twist. What if an offering is unfit for its main purpose, its intended purpose, but it could theoretically be perfectly acceptable for a different purpose? This is the question that just cracks the whole case wide open and launches us into this spectacular debate.
So this brings us to what I'm calling the intent paradox, and it's introduced by a sage named Rabbi Ḥilkiya. He comes up with a very specific scenario. Imagine a guilt offering for a leper. Now, this offering can only be brought after the leper finishes a whole purification period. So what if you slaughter that animal outside the courtyard before the time is right? It's clearly unfit as a guilt offering. But what if your intent, what's in your head, is the one thing that changes the entire legal equation?
Okay, check out Rabbi Ḥilkiya's radical idea. He argues that your liability depends entirely on what you're thinking. If you slaughter the animal for its own sake, meaning you intend for it to be the guilt offering it was designated as, you're exempt. Why? Because it's currently unfit for that specific job. But if at the moment of slaughter you mentally change its purpose, you think of it as, say, a generic peace offering, well, an animal like that is technically fit for that purpose. And because it's now a fit offering in your mind, boom, you become liable. Your intent literally determines whether you broke the law or not. Wild, right?
Just when you think you've kind of wrapped your head around that, in walks our next key player, Rav Huna. He hears this argument and he raises this incredibly powerful objection that challenges the very logic at the heart of Rabbi Ḥilkiya's whole idea.
Rav Huna's objection just cuts right to the core. He basically asks, wait a minute, how can a single thing, at a single moment in time, be both unfit and fit? That's a logical contradiction. It's such a simple, powerful challenge. Either the offering is valid or it isn't. You just can't have it both ways.
So now the battle lines are drawn. You've got Rabbi Ḥilkiya's focus on intent on one side and Rav Huna's demand for pure logical consistency on the other. So what do the sages do? They do what they do best. They roll up their sleeves and begin this rigorous search for proof, combing through all the established legal texts to find any precedent that could support one side or the other.
So the first piece of evidence they dig up is a baraitot. That's a legal teaching from that era. And at first glance, it looks like a huge win for Rabbi Ḥilkiya. It seems to say that, yeah, you are liable for slaughtering these untimely offerings outside the courtyard. On the surface, this looks like a slam-dunk confirmation of his theory.
But these guys never accept easy answers. They immediately start picking the proof apart. Well, hold on, they argue. Maybe the text isn't talking about an untimely offering at all. Maybe it's about a timely one that was just slaughtered with the wrong intent. Or they say, hey, maybe this whole text is based on a very specific kind of niche opinion of another sage, Rabbi Eliezer, that not everyone agrees with. And just like that, the proof isn't nearly as solid as it looked. The verdict? Inconclusive. Back to the drawing board.
Okay, so round one was a draw. They try again. The second piece of evidence is a clever one. It's an argument from omission. They find another text that lists a whole bunch of unfit offerings that get you an exemption, but it conspicuously leaves out the untimely guilt offering of the leper. The implication is pretty powerful. If it's not on the list of things that are exempt, well, it must not be exempt. And yet again, the sages apply the exact same level of scrutiny. They realize this proof could have the exact same problem as the first one, that it's secretly operating under Rabbi Eliezer's unique legal framework. Or, they suggest, maybe the text just stated the most obvious rule, assuming everyone would just get that the less obvious case is included too. And poof, the second proof also kind of dissolves under pressure. It's not definitive.
This brings us to what feels like the final showdown. The whole debate seems completely deadlocked. And then, a sage named Rav Dimi arrives from another land, and he's carrying a new teaching that nobody there has considered yet. This feels like it. This could be the smoking gun that finally settles the argument once and for all.
And this new evidence is explosive. This teaching from the school of Rabbi Levi seems to state, flat out, that a person is liable for slaughtering an untimely guilt offering outside the courtyard. No ambiguity, no wiggle room like the other proofs had. This is a direct hit. It seemingly confirms Rabbi Ḥilkiya's position and deals what looks like a decisive blow to Rav Huna.
So, is this it? Is the debate finally over? Is Rav Huna's powerful, logical objection that something can't be both fit and unfit at the same time, is it finally defeated by a clear, authoritative text? Is it game over? Not so fast. In this absolutely stunning display of legal creativity, Rav Huna's position is saved by one last brilliant defense. See, he's not going to contradict the new evidence. Oh no. He's going to completely reframe it. Now, to understand his move, we need a quick vocabulary word, acharayut. It basically means guarantee. This was a practice where you'd set aside two animals for a single offering. If the first one got lost or something, you'd use the backup. The crucial detail here is that only one of them was ever actually going to be used for the main offering. And here it is, Rav Huna's masterstroke. He argues that the smoking gun text isn't talking about our normal case at all. He says it's talking about this very specific guarantee scenario. And in that situation, the backup animal was never really a true guilt offering to begin with. From the get-go, it was destined to become a different type of offering if the first one was used. So of course you'd be liable for it, because it was always a fit animal for some purpose. By completely shifting the context, he neutralizes the proof without ever contradicting the text itself. It's brilliant.
Okay, let's just step back for a second. We've just watched an incredible intellectual boxing match. But what's the ultimate point here? I mean, why does this ancient, super-specific debate about offerings and intent still resonate today?
Well, it reveals this core principle that's just so important. The goal was never really to just declare a winner and a loser. The true purpose of a debate like this was to stress test the entire legal system, to explore every single logical possibility, every paradox, to make sure the law itself was airtight and perfectly consistent.
So what are the big takeaways from this incredible exchange? Well, first, that our intent can fundamentally change the legal and even the moral nature of what we do. Second, that logical consistency is a principle worth defending with everything you've got. Third, that every single word in a foundational text is precious and can hold layers of meaning. And finally, and maybe most importantly, that even an opinion that seems completely illogical on the surface can be defended with deep, creative reasoning.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We've just seen how a seemingly simple rule about where you can slaughter an animal actually contains a whole universe of complex logic. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What simple rules in our own lives, in our own legal or ethical systems today, are built on a similar universe of hidden logic, just waiting for someone to ask the right question.